Realty, aka the trading agent, and this is a live pre-market chat for Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. Gonna start the timer here and let people funnel on in. I appreciate everybody. If you have any questions before the start of this, give it 6 minutes. I will be open to free chat, just kind of letting people filter in, give them some time to get on in. What's up, Kat? So, again, it's the FOMC day. A lot of fun stuff gonna be going on today. So, just be smart, be thoughtful, be familiar with what's going on. So, hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, trying. What I would say in these times for a lot of people, the best thing to do is just be smart. Overtrading, getting caught in stuff, it can be rather painful. Rather painful, I promise. It can get very painful for folks, especially if they're overtrading. That's what the market wants you to do. Just keep that in mind. That's what the market wants you to do. Can I get a mic check? 1 2 1 2. All right. Look at that. Apple hits the 20-day. Doink. Come on back now. Here. No one should be surprised. Near term, Apple has ripped. Congratulations if you were one of the folks who followed us and said, watch the action down here. Start layering in. Look at that. Bang. 10 points. Not too shabby, eh? Not too shabby. Oi. Let me get comfortable. Where we got? Amazon flat, Apple down a little bit. Not surprised the market's doing a little bit of this like shake and bake action. Pretty standard. We got TLT rising, VIX pulling back, dollar looks like it might be peaking. Would you be totally out of Apple at this point? If you wanted to be, I wouldn't see anything wrong with it, James. If you were trying to like squeeze in and out, meaning that if you know it hits the 20-day, it's going to back off, and you're looking to like almost like middling, like a spread, like it's probably going to finish, the score is going to finish within a 10-point like range. All right, well, if you think that taking the profits now and it's going to pull back, just be aware that option prices are going to get really expensive and the spreads are going to be stupid wide going into the FOMC. The premiums on options are going to increase, even though maybe the stocks are holding up flat, whatever. I mean, it's honestly, you can't go broke taking a profit. If you think that's all Apple has into it, then yeah. I mean, the 20-day, look at it previously. I have it circled here. Was the last time I personally think it's actually gonna rip higher. It's just probably more so towards with the FOMC release and then maybe into next week as well. I told people I rolled a lot of my stuff into next week's. Took this pop on this week's stuff and just said, you know what? Kind of like you're thinking, James, like the upside might be limited at a certain point. Go from there. Take what you got to do. Again, this is where you just keep pounding keep stacking bricks, as I tell people. Just keep stacking bricks. So that's the goal. All right. Man, Kat, you really want to get in my lap. Come on. Let's go. Get up here. Come on. Get up here. You really want to come up here. Love your dad. Come on. Come on. No? Yep, give it a minute. Let people file in. Let people come on in. YouTube notification. What do you got going here? Come on. Stop playing around. You got 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. No? Yeah, I mean, Apple had a 2-point swing today, James. I mean, not surprised, right? pops up, pulls back. We got materials names kind of at the low of the day. Oil starting to pull back. TLT rising. Yeah, don't be surprised by the volatility. SMH looks pretty solid. Some of these names. AMD rallied. Not rallied. Sorry, they're holding up okay. Micron, which we were talking about, got that downgrade at the high of the day. A lot of chop. Tesla's down, which, not surprising. It's been holding up pretty well. I think a lot of people, as we talked about in the Discord room, like the noise, like the never-ending, constant, incessant crap that's being posted by the financial news, FinTwit. Like, everybody thinks every headline is the most important thing, and you just realize 99% of it is just absolute trash. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. All right. This is going to be more of a free chat, so please chime in if you got any questions, and let's get this going. All right, we are done. All right, this is Dan Max at EXPI Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your pre FOMC chat as of Wednesday, September 21st. Trying to do just an open question, open mic, kind of just refer to what's going on in the markets and see if I can help people get situated, be comfortable. There is a what to do before the FOMC video that I have posted. Talks about what typically happens before the markets or before the FOMC release. And yeah, let's get into it, because I think a lot of people who are newer or even been to trading still, they've noticed that the FOMC days are a little wild. But let's explain what the thinking, what's going on, and what particularly should be their expectations for today. So, as of right now, I always tell people the Monday and Tuesday before the FOMC is usually just dead. It's usually just dead. Now, we talked about in June, I don't know if you knew this, if you know this or not. There was an FOMC meeting. Let me confirm the date on it again. I have pull this through. Maybe you guys can see this, and then I'll move it out. You had the June 9th and 10th going into the end of the quarter. So it was a little sneakier saying June. And it went into OPEX, and you got like this, it held up in the this chop and then went vertical lower into the OPEX. Vertical, I guess, yeah, just straight line move. Well, what is the point of OPEX? What is the goal of the market makers during these times is to really do what? Put in bottoms and tops. I tell that to people all the time. Like, if you go study the past charts in the markets, bottoms and tops during OPEX are the first and last 3 days of a month. Well, why OPEX? Keep in mind, people position out weeks, months ahead of time with puts, calls. They look at, usually it's a week or so before the end of the month. In your mind, you have to be thinking, now again, if people are hedging, putting on positions, the market maker's trying to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people, you understand that OPEX is probably their biggest stretch, potentially, or chopping out before the next move. Like in a bull market, what you'll see is the market rises and it goes stuck. It gets stuck for 2 weeks and it culminates during OPEX. And in a bull market, you'll see the first and last week of the month runs up, and then you get the 2 week middle of the month chop. So in a bear market, this is where it gets a little more confusing. You have to be just looking at what the put call ratios are, what people are expecting, just how is retail acting? Because I think most of us understand retail. Oh, sorry, I was showing June 9th and 10th. It was June 14th, 15th. It was the 22nd. I apologize. So here's the 14th and 15th. Boom. Chop, and then started this pop-up. And this is what I'm expecting. Sorry, I got off topic. I noticed I was looking at the 2020 schedule. I'm expecting a pop. Because why? Everybody's bearish. Put call ratios exploded. You're going into a midterm election now. I don't necessarily know this for a fact, but I'm just thinking out loud. I've said this many times. If I am Putin, or if I'm anybody that's, trying to, I don't know what's the best way to describe this, trying to cause problems for the U.S., it might be time to take a week or two off and then press it ahead of the election. That's what I've always thought. You know, we know people know there's like elections have consequences. So my thinking here is ultimately like, all right, well, they're probably going to play this game and try to reel in the market, make everything look better than it is when it happens. You know, meaning next couple weeks, market, not even a couple weeks, just probably even to the end of September, the market could just be chop and hold up. That's not what a lot of people like to hear. Now, chop is annoying, and it happens. And this is the hardest thing about trading. And if you're trading options and you're swing trading and you're expecting something to happen all the time, right away, right now, putting yourself in a position where it's not going to be that easy. So, yeah, does anyone else have an echo? Let me know. I haven't really. The only thing is that my wired line wasn't working this morning, so I went Wi-Fi. Okay, cool. Yeah. Try not to get distracted. So if you expect, here is June 16th, the 15th and 16th were the FOMC, or 14th and 15th, right here. You had that gap down on the 16th during OPEX and then rolled up. Well, here you go. Here was OPEX, the gap down on the FedEx news, which I've said multiple times. I thought it was very ominous that FedEx would release such bad guidance 5 days before their earnings. That seems rather stupid. Usually when you have that bad of visibility, you try to warn as soon as possible. You don't wait till the last second. Waiting till the last second during OPEX felt like somebody was playing a game here. Meaning, somebody knew something, right? Someone always does. If you're the market makers and you're working with the same folks that are running C-suites and doing stuff, it's things that are a little sneaky, right? Like, you know, it's like, hey, I'm going to fail this quarter, and you let your parents know a day before, 3 days before your report card comes out, right? Does that make sense? I would think no. So, if you got any questions, let's just open this up, because I think a lot of people are anticipating a huge move. We'll see. The VIX is compressing under 28. I honestly think the VIX is going to crap out and the market's going to rise. I've put my levels. I really think the first level is going to be around 390. I don't know, 394 to 396, 398, somewhere up in this area if we do get a ripper. I do anticipate, though, that if we get a big rip, could it pull back and then chop into the end of the month? It's all possible. It's really hard. It's just, we talk about this constantly, right? The sentiment. Sentiment is rather bearish. People, they're feeding, and this is the thing, when you notice like the headlines just seem to be incessantly bearish, and then the market goes sideways, red alert. Same thing at the highs. When you see super bullish information about whatever stock or sector you're in, and all of a sudden it's like the stocks aren't moving, has to be a red alert, right? We talked about, like, say, like the oil names when we were doing that special on ExxonMobil, and we started shorting Exxon and the oil service names. It was like, is it really going to be this easy? Because everybody was trying to hide out in oil because they're going, oh, oil 200, oil 250, and I was like, no. You don't upgrade the price at the highs and see the price action go stagnant and expect that to be bullish. It's usually bearish. People keep asking me about this solar short, and I'm like, wait. Here is an example of a straight line move in chop. Distributive, right? We talked about, like, this was distributive day. Big volume, doji. Candle with big volume, long wick. Then sideways. I'm telling y'all right now, solar is going to get absolutely slaughtered at some point in a bear market. It's just a matter of when. That's why it's kind of crazy. I was looking at some of the first solar puts. Holy crap. The IVs are in the 60s. I mean, I don't know the historical IV on these things, but man, 60 is a lot. Wow. 60 is a lot. Like, Apple's IV right now is like 20, if I remember right. 20s, low 20s. So, any questions? Pretty quiet. I mean, I can just keep talking to talk if you want me to, but I'll show you some more, too, of why I like first solar. Let's go to the monthly. You are in a massive congestion zone. Here's the bottom of this wick, which had the most volume until basically 2012 when they probably did a ton of dilution. You can just see this area matters is the closing of this candle. Tons of chop. I would love to see it get up to 145. And now certain people who always are early and say, well, Dan, you said do this, and then they jump right into it. And I'm like, want to pull my hair out. Because I always say, unless I say right, immediately, this is the time, I will try to give you as much heads up of like what I'm waiting for. And what I'm telling you I'm waiting for is the Feds to get by, and maybe the first and last 3 days of the month to window dress. Because if solar looks like, again, remember, we talk about months and quarters, right? Look at this quarter. Straight 62 to 136. Do you not think people are going to be window dressing the hell out of this for quarterly statements? Then look at the monthly. Looks pretty green to me. 125 up to 1. Do you not think people will be sadly dumping into this stuff as safety? But then this is what the market makers are anticipating. They're like, come on in. Come on into solar. It's nice and toasty and warm. You get a tan if you're lucky. Free tanning. Literally. So that's just one idea. I mean, again, you can pull up the tan. It looks pretty junky. I mean, again, I get every week somebody in a solar company knocks on our door and goes, would you like to get solar? And I always ask them how things are going. And every week it seems to be like their sales are getting worse and worse. They're like, yeah, we're doing okay, but we're, it's a little harder these days. Like that's kind of their thing. But they're like, oh, but it's so worth it. That $30,000 you're going to pay over time or with interest if you do some sort of financing. It's totally worth saving $100 a month on your energy bills. It's like, yeah, right, bro. Got it. Thanks. Unless a builder puts it on your house and they eat their margin. No. Thoughts on the XLF going forward? Bought a piece today. It's the good old XLF. I mean, it looks great. I know people are like, great? Yeah. I mean, look at this. You're holding. I mean, if you want me to tighten this box up, I'll turn it. Don't let me forget to turn it to the daily. Look at this thing, man. You're holding this box. Higher lows, compressing. You retest. We talk about retests are your friend. Well, the retests are showing you the line in the sand, and somebody knows that line in the sand. So if that's the case, as long as it holds over 32, it probably pops. Now, again, I don't know if I would have played the XLF per se. I'd probably play the PAAS because it could probably move 10 points if the XLF moves 2 points. But I don't know, somewhere in the 34s, I'm expecting again. Remember, if the Feds are trying to talk dovish, the banks are going to love it. I mean, I know they like higher interest rates, but they also would like the economy not to fall apart. Because right now they're struggling to write mortgages with higher rates. And First Solar is absolutely ripping. Man, paper hands drive me crazy, bro. Like, don't buy this stuff. Someone bought January puts on First Solar, fine, whatever. That's so far out. Someone's buying like October, November. Just want to take this mic and whip it against somebody. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? CCJ, and then this is, and here we talk about, and let me just talk about and rant about the mindset of everybody. When everyone's bullish, you got to be scared. You remember all the CNBC crap they were doing a couple weeks ago about uranium? Personally, love uranium long term. If it's like, if we're gonna really move off of fossil fuels, then uranium is obviously the linchpin between such future moves. Maybe we'll find some special technology in time, but it makes sense. Like you gotta go more nuclear. Get nuclear, but everybody's pumping it. Get sideways, peaks into the what? The first couple days of the month, then made a little higher high. Goodbow. I'm personally, as I said this, I would not buy any materials names long run. I'm trading tech because tech is still the favorite of the market. It's still, go talk to any novice or any retail trader, retail investor. Tech's the future. Tech is the future. Tech is the future. Yeah. And so that sentiment will always get pushed to help push the stocks. We all agree tech is not the future, but it is the bull market, previous bull market leader. So it's gonna get Momo every time. Anytime the market seems like it's like gets excited. But as we're noticing, the Momo is draining. Like you're not seeing like the big rips you used to get. Maybe all it needs is one more. Gold. I love just talking about gold because I think if you can get physical prices, good. Get the cheap physical prices. I'm just telling y'all, nobody believed me months ago. I was like, watch this. You're coming down to these ranges and you're probably going to break it because what it needs to do is get everybody to be wrong for the last 2 years. Then go. Here you go. Could it get down to the 140s? It's seeming very possible. But again, what we talk about, when you break out of the channel is usually the blowout. TLT, a lot of people constantly like, hey Dan, when's it going? I'm like, man, I told you, I'm buying December calls. I'm not expecting a lot until the Feds. Well, here are the Feds. Talked about yesterday being a potential novice gap. Coming back. Look at all this green action. Now again, I typically don't really care too much about the color, but the action every day was open low, close high. Open low. I mean, that not things you see at bottoms if it's not bullish, right? Like somebody has the ability to carry the names up to close near the highs or green every day. Think about the psychology, right? If everybody hates bonds and everyone thinks interest rates are going higher, remember, interbank lending rate different than the actual bond market. FOMC is affecting the interbank lending rate. Why are bonds rallying every day? Who knows? No, I mean, who knows? But really, get thinking here, right? Somebody's buying. We'll see what. Again, there's no certainty here. Like, trust your stops. I'm trying to give you guys my best insights. I'm gonna be wrong. You're gonna be wrong. We're all gonna be wrong. It's how you handle the wrongs, and try to stick to the levels. Hope that helps. At this point, come on, trying to get Amazon to wake up. I know they had FedEx's news affected them, but it's just like sitting here along the 100-day. It's in the massive volume at price zone, point of control area. Wakey. I know some people were buying Microsoft the last couple days around 240. Not bad. Little gap up today. Professional gap, someone's asking. We'll see. I mean, it could. Keep in mind, if the market gets ripping and the dollar takes a little siesta, Microsoft will be back at 250 pretty quickly. Someone talking about Micron upgrade. Freaking Micron. That is open low. That looks like an outside reversal candle, which should be near-term bullish, right? Like if you open at the lows and then you engulf the previous days down, going higher, right? Here you go. Here's like a little outside reversal, 2 days only. You see it also at highs. Like, God, it's funny when they do it green like that. I'm trying to see if there's an outside red reversal. Here's one. Remember, this market has been very, what I would say, sneaky in the sense that you get a lot of green closes before you turn down. I mean, kind of. Not ideal. Here you go. Here's an outside reversal right there. Y'all see this? You open, you go lower, and then you close back above the previous day's candle. It's typically a reversal candle near term. Now, again, it could be 1 or 2 days, or it could be a trend. Now, a trend for Micron might be what? Probably up to, I mean, you guys, I don't even have it drawn, but you can kind of see there. It looks like there's, I don't know, some sort of trend here. Now people are like, oh, you're ignoring this candle. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it just seems to fit all these other ones, so this might be the anomaly, which maybe takes it up to the 20-day. Any questions this morning? Maybe everybody's in a good position, which is great. You have to expect, again, option spreads are going to start widening. The IVs are going to get more expensive. The options makers are going to absolutely penalize people for buying options right now. Like, that's what they want you to do. They want you to hedge. They want you to go long. They want you to get really excited. But most people don't realize what happens during the FOMC meeting is at 2 o'clock the announcement comes out. The market just goes up and down for like 30 minutes. And then when Powell speaks, up and down on whatever he says. And the first move is usually the trap. Well, I would say the market's been down overall, hence why it makes sense to me why if we drop back down at some point during the day, I think it's a buying opportunity. And if we rip higher, well, then maybe this whole move into the FOMC was the trap. This is where the psychology gets hard. So you have to play like these like this mindset of thought process where if it drops, all right, look for areas to buy, and if it pops, it's probably gonna rip. So that's all I really got to say. I mean, pretty quiet, not a lot of questions. Maybe people are still laying in bed. Some of y'all I know definitely are laying in bed. And yeah, man, First Solar, I told you. Freaking paper hands. Been helping this guy. I love him. He wants to do well. I believe in him. But he's like, oh, I'm buying puts today. I'm like, please don't. Please don't. Everybody wants to be the first one. And as you all see, like, I'm always trying to layer in and be slow because even I get excited. Like, I think this is happening. I think this is happening. And it doesn't. MicroStrategy. What up, Netsta? Thoughts on MicroStrategy? I mean, we've talked about Bitcoin. Look like it's holding. As long as it holds over like 17.5, it looks fine to me. It's playing the game where it probably is very similar to what gold's doing, where it's going to get people interested and it's going to drop around, and then ultimately the blowout comes later. If that's the case, and Bitcoin holds up, I mean, MicroStrategy could pop 30, 40 points really quickly. 20-day, I mean, you're at the, like, look to my left here. You're at the volume at price point of control levels, right? So as long as it holds, you're good. As long as it holds, you're good. I don't really see anything. And this is where if you look through the whole market, like, it's really tough to be bearish with a lot of the setups, right? Here was a name. Here, speaking of like when retail's all in, remember how I was laughing and saying Warren Buffett is selling endless covered calls up here and retail is pumping and buying the crap out of Occidental Petroleum. Is like, it's going to pull back. Pulls back to the trend. Now what? Again, I don't even want to play in the oil patch. Have no desire. I'd love to short it. Waiting for a hurricane or some sort of, I would say, instigation of higher prices to short it. Because again, if we are going to capitulate at some point, all the stuff gets absolutely smoked down. Everyone knows that. Anyone who's following knows that's the reality. It's going to get beat down. Absolute beat down. So be thoughtful. Be smart. Stay on top of your game, meaning like just, if you want, watch the videos, pay attention. I apologize, the Discord room is not open. I got so many people inundated trying to help, but just burning me out. I'll let people in slowly, or if you want to make a donation to prove that you really want to be in there, fine. I mean, I don't care. Honestly, I want people to win. I know what it's like to be in trading and just be stuck and feel like you can't get to the next level. I really want people to get there. So anyway, thanks for doing it, Dan. Your time and knowledge. Yeah, no problem, John. Anybody who's not familiar with FOMC Day, just be prepared for a big up and down chop. Do not be surprised when the news comes out, the market moves 2 or 3 handles on the SPY or 20, 30 ES points. Just don't be surprised by it. Like, because the algorithms are going to trigger off what the release is, but they also know that there's tons of people who are just chicken littles. Like, you know what I mean? Like the first down move, they're like, ah! The first up move, I gotta go! Like, like that, they know that. They know that there's people sitting here on pins and needles just trying to take a dime out of the market. And they know the algorithms are going to push people around and they're going to get things moving and they're going to get people excited. I've been seeing a lot of folks in Discord suggesting to wait till 2:30. Do you agree with that? When you say wait, like, what are you waiting for? SM? Like, when you say wait, like, what are you waiting for? I think most people are saying wait till, like, meaning the market moves, whatever happens now until then, don't matter. But if you're trading around it, I mean, somebody sold Apple at the highs and the 158s. I mean, could you? Yeah, I mean, you could probably trade around it. I mean, think about this like earnings, right? Like, the big move doesn't come until the release. Just be careful because that pop is going to be super high V and expensive. Like, they're not going to make it easy. So you got to layer in. And honestly, this is what I'm doing. I'm long. I've got some cash. If the market drops, then I'm going to buy. If it pops and rips higher, I'm not doing anything. Because I'm not going to chase. But I also know that I've seen this a bazillion times within the FOMC is that there'll be some sort of drop. And if it drops, I guarantee it tries to get to like 380-ish, and then it'll pop. That would be my guess. So if you got capital, I think the smart thing to do would be just to wait for the drop. Because you don't want to chase the pop. Like, absolutely do not want to chase the pop. I don't care if we are going higher. You just don't be a chaser. Don't be a chaser. Because chasing, ultimately, it's just bad form. It's going to ultimately lose in the sense that you might be overpaying for the options and the market might chop out. You got to be careful. I mean, me personally, there's nothing to do unless we pull back, in my opinion. So if you are the type of trader who thinks that like you're gonna wait for the news and then buy that pop, please don't. I know even if it says I think it's going higher, just don't. I'm telling you, just wait for dips, because then again, when the market chops out or pulls back, you're working with profits versus, oh man, I'm back to even. What do I do now? Like, I hate that. Like, that feeling to me, as I call it, round tripping. Like round tripping back to an entry or a point, like that just drives me absolutely bonkers. Hate that. Because I look back and I go, well, if I would have just waited and not chased, I'd be up way more. And then on this pullback, I wouldn't care. So, good question, though, because I think a lot of people think, they're waiting to confirm the pop. But knowing the market makers, they're going to try to, and just keep this and put this in your notepad, they're going to try to snack both sides today. And when I say snack, like prey on them. Like they're going to get the market to drop and the shorts are going to load. They're going to get the market to pop initially and they're going to get people to try to chase. And then ultimately it's probably right back where it was at 230 at the same price. And then Powell's going to say what he's going to say. Again, I anticipate them to be a little more dovish because it is a midterm election. If they talk way too hawkish and the market smashes, think about people who are incumbents. Think about whatever party you want. They're going to be like, Jesus, why did you do that to us? Right? Like, did you have to just smoke us out? Did you have to just crash the market in front of a midterm election, pal? Right? They're all going to blame him. The media is. Think about it. Like, he is literally damned if he does, damned if he doesn't kind of thing. Do we not all agree? I think it seems apparent. Maybe it's just me and my thinking with trading, but if the market tanks in front of the midterm, they're definitely going to blame Powell. They are definitely going to blame Powell. It's not our fault. We can't control the economy. Wait, now you can't control the economy? Wait, what's going on, guys? They always play this game. Any questions? Because this is not easy stuff. Trading is not easy. Always talk about the probability-based mindset, the thoughtfulness of how you want to, just be on top of your game. Like, you always got to be aware that the market maker's trying to take your money. I personally load some of the never-ending posts in the StockTwits realm and FinTwit, where it's like Zero Hedge is posting this, and it's like, this stuff doesn't matter. It's like literally a fart in the wind. It's but the problem is that people read this stuff, and it's like, to me, it reminds me of housewives like sitting around gossiping about this and about that, and getting caught up about, ooh, did you see that ABC happened? And then a week later, nobody even remembers it. But in the moment, woo, big deal. Oh my God, can't believe that. It's like, can't believe I won't remember it in a week. That's how I always think about it. This whole, like, yesterday, the whole Russia stuff, and it's like, well, hold on. Russia's stock market drops 9%, right? Their GDP is literally smaller than Texas, I think, if I'm correct. They're a fart in the wind. However, the perception that their market's down, I'm like, maybe they're actually going to ceasefire. Because the whole reason they were holding up is because their currency was strong. Oil and gas were holding up. And if oil and gas, which that's what I thought yesterday too. Think about it. If there was actually going to be some sort of conflict, aggression, why didn't oil and gas go up? Right? I don't know. A lot of little tricky things going on. I mean, I don't know the answer to all this stuff, but things that I watch and I go, all right, everyone's thinking that Russia's about to drop a nuke or about to go hard. Why is oil down? That doesn't make sense, does it? Can I get a yes, yes? Like, that doesn't make sense. Why would oil be down if Russia's going to instigate more conflict? So, yeah, there's a lot of things that just don't make sense, but they make sense in the sense of like, I don't know if I trust that. It's gonna make fun of someone on the Discord room. FSLR ripping face. All right, well, there's really nothing much to say. I'll just let it go. I mean, you've got my full attention here. I really don't mind helping somebody with, even if it's just an idea or a trade, you know, because there's a lot. I would say the hardest thing again with trading is just how to probability a trade, right? Like everybody wants to look at a trade and go black or white. This is what's going to happen. No, the reality is that you have to think of it from, all right, what is likely going to happen? And this is why I always try to put time in my favor with longer dated options and stock, because the intraday stuff, I mean, I always make fun of people this. Trying to guess the 6.5 hours trading day trajectory, consult Magic 8 Ball. That would probably give you just as good an insight. And the reality is that is what it is, right? The algorithms are playing with the market action all day. Everybody thinks now is the time. Now, let's go. And it's like, more than likely, it's not the time. All right, TLT pulling back, dollar at the high of the day, but the market seems to be catching a bid. Let's see if it fails off of that. See if it pulls back off of that. Just watching some of my other screens. I have, I wonder if I can pull this in here. I got my watch list here. It just goes and goes and goes and goes, but this is what I'm watching. Watching it fluctuate. Yeah, SMH. People are like, oh, it's getting over the days. I just don't, before the FOMC, like I said, as I'm watching the SPY retest the highs, I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I think we're going to get caught in a range. And if it pops, cool. Then maybe there's some news that's actually bullish. I don't know. I just don't know. In a sense of the probabilities, right? Like who's going to make huge moves before the FOMC? What is the it's like trying to get in front of earnings, right? Like, this is that stock going to move a big deal? No. Now, a lot of people would say right now, Dan, well, don't you want to be out of this before and then trade afterwards? Good point. I think you're right. The problem I have is that I will be out of town the next 2 days for a funeral. Gotta dip out. I won't be able to do any recordings, unfortunately. And so my thinking is if this is going to be this repeat pattern, I'm more concerned about sticking around in this versus like if I sold now and the market gets squirrely and I don't get my positions back in today, I might miss out. And again, that's FOMO. That's me being completely honest with it. It could be the wrong idea. However, I will be watching the lows because if we do break the lows, then it's game over, gone. Gone, girl. We'll recoup, get things, lined up for next week. I mean, the hardest thing is always trying to be all in. And I tell people this, I'm like, you got to stop it. Cash is your friend. But I'm not making money on cash. No, you make money on cash with opportunity. Oh, I have to be always in, Dan. Don't you realize the best time to own all of Tesla is always? It's like, okay. No. Don't you realize that you have to always be long Apple? Okay. No. Don't you realize, Dan, you got to buy gold. You got to buy gold and you got to hold on to it. No. There's always opportunities. Talked about like last week, like, man, you could sell Adobe puts if you had cash. Easy money. Easy money. You sell those 290 puts a couple weeks out. Here it comes. The premium. The IB was insane. Melt. Absolute melt. Oh, but everything has to go in a straight line to the moon. Always, Dan. No. Stop it. You're being silly. Let's look at EXPI real quick. All right, if no one's got questions, I'm just going to flip through charts and just look at what I see. Looks like EXPI is just holding the 81 level. Let's go from the top. TLT. Yeah, nothing. Probably going nowhere. The dollar making new highs. Feels very novish gapish. Novish gapish. Novish gapish. We'll see what happens. The VIX. I think the VIX is near the low of the... Yeah, the VIX is low. Yeah. Here we go. Compressed. Compression. Probably, I'm telling you, at some point, I think they get this gap to fill. Think they get the silly gap to fill. Silly wabbit. Tricks are for kids. Let's fill that gap. SPY. Know your levels. 380. Again, use 380 because I have a feeling if there is a drop, they're going to try to knock stops. They're absolutely going to knock stops, okay? Don't put a hard line on it. Just watch. Does it fill this gap? Which would be at 377. That's a pretty long stretch because that would have been a 10-point swing. Probably not, but again, just don't be surprised if it pulls back upside somewhere in the mid 390s, maybe the 20-day. I said this many times. I'm expecting what? Like this kind of action here, right here, or this kind of action here. It's not going to be easy. It's going to pop, drop, chop, chop, drop, or chop, 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 and you're going to know the ceiling. We are in that. And to me, this level right here, the 0.618389, bringing it below it for a couple days feels like a bear trap. Because then they'll run it right back up. Then it'll come back down. Because keep in mind, everyone's now starting to think, is this a head and shoulders bottom? Going, midterm election year, this is a buy. This is a buy. And I'm telling you, everyone's out of position. And I mean everybody. It's what? The market. Retail traders are shorting. Institutions are under-owned. People are just, heads have been spinning. And when in doubt, it's always easier for them to just all in or all out. And I think they've gone all out based on this kind of action here. This was very capitulatory, multi-gap, just bleh. Well, now we got to play this game. Blah, 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 blah. See? Get it? Got it? Hui. Man, there's just, let's just rip through them all. QQQ holding up pretty well. As you can see, we're just tight action. We're at the point of control, low end. Not surprised it went a little lower, but I'm also, this is the thing, let me just roll up what I'm talking about. Like First Solar, it's gonna probably hold up at the high. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bullish before it drops, right? QQQ going slightly lower, right? Then pop. So we'll keep an eye on it. Just don't be surprised by all these games. IWM, what we talked about. Remember how Qs and SPY are much lower? IWM leads. Does this not look like it's holding pretty strong? Yeah, it is. GLD, materials names, absolutely leave them alone. Now people are asking, they're going to rip into the FOMC. Maybe. I just don't. Again, I don't want to own material names because it's not the previous bull market leader. These things are dead money to me until when? The Feds pivot. Say it over and over and over and over and over and over. Silver. Just people don't listen, man. They just don't listen. Same thing. Here you go. Chopping. Silver, I still think it probably gets smashed at some point. You don't bottom when everyone loves stuff, man. I'm just telling people that over and over. X talked about the 200-day get out. Got some volume on their guidance. Yeah, maybe it pops up a point or two. I don't know. Nucor gotten beaten on their guidance, still going lower. Don't know. CCJ, leave it alone. You got the professional gap and chop. Filled the gap, chopping, just leave it alone. Somebody just asked about VALE. I've said this 1,000 times. Just leave it the F alone. It's going nowhere. Oil and gas are going lower. The market's going to like oil and gas going lower. Market's going to like deflation near term. And also keep in mind, deflation is what happens when the market crashes. So, do you want to own material names? No. Who does well with deflation? Tech. Tech. All this stuff looks just, I don't know, man. I don't have any faith in any of these names. VALE, moving, Cliff. People every day ask me about commodity names. They all look dead, which is good. You want them really dead before they bottom, y'all. You want them giving. You want people to give up. I say this all the time. Think of like the Livermore. You know, he talks about like it's dead, like it's literally dead. Well, don't short a quiet dead market, right? Not saying short this stuff, but just let it die. Let it be buried. Let people give up on this stuff. Like if you like oil and gas, like let nobody. You don't want anybody long it anymore. When uranium's bottom, like nobody, everyone's gonna be like, this is just crap. It's crap again. Doesn't make sense. Gold, silver, all this stuff. People are still screaming buy it. I mean, I want to see everybody saying this stuff is absolute trash. Now I know the Wall Street Journal posted something like gold is dead, which that's one of the good signs, right? You need the advertising that it's dead. We need to see that. Yeah, Mosaic. Love these names. Just leave them alone. CF. Love this. Leave it alone. They're all in these like weird patterns where they're just, you don't know where they're going to resolve near term. Just leave them alone. Arrow holding off, talk about the lows. Financials, we talked about them earlier. I still think they look good. Double, you're holding down here. Probably going to bounce. Let's run through some of the tech names. AMD. Holding. We'll see what happens here. Keep in mind, what do we say? Chop precedes big pops and drops. Tighten up, pop. Right? That's what somebody's holding it here. Somebody's holding it here. Jesus, First Solar still ripping. God, leave it alone. NVIDIA, chopping before it pops. 10, 15 points. SMH looking Gouda, holding up. Just, again, I mean, people are like, oh, but Dan, look at the commodity. And I'm like, no, don't. Just don't. Because the market's going to try to, hope for deflation. And it's going to want to, talk about demand destruction. And commodities are always going to be the pressure through the CME and all of the freaking systems for which they manipulate commodity prices. You have to remember that. Adobe talked about it. You could have sold puts here, going sideways. Is this it's curling? Is it about to curl to pop? It's curling. Apple hit the 20-day, backed off. Not surprised. It's not surprised. Amazon, dead. Just tight compression. It's like wearing a compression sleeve. CRM, tight at the lows. Guggenheim. Oh, it's at the low of the day. Oh, better hold. Guggenheim, you better hold. This is interesting to me because look at this volume on the Friday of OPEX. Somebody got a lot of stock. Maybe they sold it. I don't know. But it looks pretty bullish. I wonder if it was after hours and this piled in. Sneaky dark pool. At this point, better hold hundo. Zemeta. A lot of these names look like they're just compressing down here. They don't look great. But you can always just tell the sequencing of things. Because I even remember this when because this is one of the hardest things for me, y'all. Coming out of the commodity bull market, for me personally, I still thought things would bounce back. And they got to the point where they did bounce back, but then they just got absolutely smoked. And tech was just going nowhere. And so that's where, if you flip the script, that's where I think people don't realize, we're in the tech is going to bounce more and commodities should just go stagnant. Because that's how you lead to the next bull market, right, for commodities. It's not in this thing, it's a V bottom, it's going to be easy. Nah, Nope, never is. Netflix, been on fire. holding up. Remember I talked about like things that aren't bearish. Like what is Netflix doing up here if the market's about to peel over? Tesla holding up. Now again, people are like, you still got your shorts from long distance? Yeah, I'm like long dated. Yeah, I do. Don't have a ton of it, obviously. Expecting down at some point, but could we get up into this? Could we get up into this? I don't know. I mean, even if it doesn't, like watch the EV names. Watch Tesla chop here for 3 days and everything else catches up. 4 days, a month, but not a month, a week, 10 days, whatever. Not 10 trading days, but if today's the 21st, maybe into next week, the 30th, 31st. Don't be surprised, right? Any other, oil. Do you not think the market's loving this oil? Like this is, when the Fed's last raised 75 basis points, oil was what? Near the highs. Now oil is down a ton. I'm telling you, the Feds are going to have room to pretend to be dovish, right? Any other questions? I'm going to wrap it up. There's not that much to say. Just be safe out there. Do one more blow off. Do one more blow off like this. Here you go. I want to see this. This is where I was telling, warning paper hands, please be careful. Please be careful, because this is what you want to see. Is like this, boom, one up, boom. Then there's the, we talk about the lower high fail, boom. Just one more. One more. Let me actually set my alarm for this price. Yep, 140. Any other questions? Morning, professional gap and VALE. Professional gap. No, VALE does not have a professional gap. That gap there from a week ago, maybe. But here's the thing again. The professional gap can be a couple days and then flop. I'm seeing lower highs and chop. No, please do not buy VALE. Do not buy Cliff. Do not buy X, Nucor, any of this crap that's in commodity names. I'm telling you, with commodities coming down in price, the perception is, you gotta buy tech again. I'm telling you, man, just the way that Apple's acting, something is sneaky here, right? If Apple's the market, Apple's the sector, right? For tech, they're about to do what? I don't know if you can say this on StockTwits, but it's got like the boner potential, like taking the Viagra and it's gonna whoozee. Look at that, 133 up to 151, which 15 points I've said makes sense to me. 148 maybe gets up into the mid 160s, right back. That's how you draw in the bears to give up, and you get the bulls to go, well, Apple's releasing their phone and their sales are good, and they're they're sold out. Yeah, well, they sold out because they probably made like a tenth of what they normally make because of supply constraints. But any questions? Going once, going twice. Love to help out if you got a question, and if not, I'm out. Really not much to do between now and the FOMC. Just know your levels. I'm telling you. Don't stare at the news and the 1 minute chart. Just know the levels. Get comfortable with your trade and plan. Because I'm telling you right now, when you stare at the 1 minute, 5 minute, even the 10 minute, and you build this mental pressure to be right, need to do this, this has to happen, you miss out on the bigger picture. And it's very easy to miss out on the bigger picture. The goal is to not miss out on bigger pictures, y'all. The goal is to just be calm as a cucumber. Are cucumbers calm? I guess they're calming. They put them over your eyes when you go to a spa. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. Appreciate the love, support, donations, all the generosity that people give with their time to help out. It's always appreciated. I'm a one-man band because people I've learned from, I appreciate them, but ultimately this is like a buy-yourself thing. People do a ton of, they want to charge thousands of dollars for this stuff, and I'm telling you right now, I believe that this is worth that, but my thinking is if I help out a ton of people, instead of charging them thousands of dollars, maybe one day they'll generously donate back because they will get to that point versus like, all right, you're already in the hole or you've been losing or you're struggling and now you got to pay more money. I've been in that. It's hard. I just want people who want to learn, because I know for a fact, like, when you are hungry, you will fight and scratch for a meal. And, like, I want those types of people who are like, I really need to freaking learn this stuff, man. I need something help. All right, here it is. Here it is. And people, and I had this conversation with Lupus last night. Like, if it's free, no one will take it serious. And I'm like, perfect. Only want the people who see the value in it for free, that will take it take it serious. Awesome. Because those are the people that are gonna be like, holy crap, this is great. I now have some direction, some help here. And like you said, if people are like, oh, you can charge $5,000 a month. It's like, well, yeah. But then people expect me to do the work for them. Nope. I want you to do the work. I want you to see what is going on. I want you to know that you know. Because then you can, then you actually will be great at trading. Now, again, you won't win every day, every week, every month. But your quarters, and like, think about, like, your performance is going to be like a chart of a bull market. Higher highs and higher lows. I can promise you that. All right. Love you guys. Be safe out there. Be thoughtful. Always, again, think about the levels, the ranges, how to play things. I'm expecting the market to rip at some point. Don't be surprised if it pulls back. Yeah. At some point, because you got to trap both sides. You absolutely have to trap both sides before the market goes higher. If it didn't get trapped today before the FOMC and just keeps rising, then there has to be some sort of news out there that is more powerful, as powerful as what the Feds might release. Like, if it's somehow a Russian ceasefire near term, that would put the market higher, right? I think that's really all it is. If China just I don't know, reopens completely, there's not a lot of stuff out there that really would make sense for the market to rise higher. It would just be more of, in my mind, chop suey, going nowhere. All right. Talk to y'all later. Be safe. Be smart. I'll be in the Discord room hanging out all day. Peace.